Cutter's Degrassi Unpopular Opinions. Hey there, hello there. It's Jeff Cutter, and welcome you to another Degrassi Unpopular Opinion / hot take. And let's look at Paige. I know I haven't done a lot of Paige videos, and I know that, one of the biggest opinions is basically the writers making Paige gay when there was no indication that Paige had anything for a girl. And maybe season 4 was why she turned towards girls, because she couldn't trust men. I mean, Spinner kind of cheated on her with Manny. Rick came back in her life, and she was angry that Rick was allowed to come back to school. And Mr. Olander basically tore her heart. Played with her heart. And she basically almost got herself into deep shit. So anyway, somebody posted did a Reddit post a while ago. It's called Paige's Self-Righteous Attitude Towards College and Alex by Retail Slave. Saying this: I feel like even though this wasn't elaborated on, this was an interesting subject matter choice to explore. Swords of scratch against elements of class and the privilege of higher education. Paige is upper middle class. If her mom's best friend is the head of admissions at the Canadian equivalent of Harvard, more likely they live pretty comfortably. If Dylan can get scholarships or be in exchange programs or headed to Sweden or Switzerland to play hockey at a competitive level, you have to have the kind of parents who will take you to practice at 6 a.m. and then drive you to stuff by 4 o'clock. And then basically dinner or chores are done for you by someone else so you can focus on sports and academics. These well-rounded types are the standards for admission to elite universities. And even at that, you would still have to have a competitive edge, like her protege. Paige was judgmental towards Alex, who lived with a single working-class mother with crappy, abusive boyfriends and substance abuse issues. These people who are not privileged and have an uphill battle to face. We weren't ready to have conversations in 2005 before the admissions scandal. Right. The show didn't explore the nature of class and privilege with Alex or Paige. It was done mostly to characterize and develop their characters and relationship. It did explore the point of condescension that Paige stands on as an upper middle class white girl. Remember what Jafar said in Aladdin: whoever had the gold makes the rules. It explored how wealthy people hold this outlook and judge people. I don't think I made a comment towards this. I don't think so. Did I? I don't think I did. No, I never did. So anyway, I'll give you my thoughts later. But anyway, Ketchum said, I'm not sure saying she wasn't upper middle class, but I'm not sure your examples of why she was whole. She was whole true. You can have upper class friends and not be upper class or even be upper middle class yourself. So just because the parents are friends with a high ranking head of admissions at a college doesn't mean much. Basically, the person talks about, stuff. Scholarship doesn't prove wealth. Many are given out only to the needy, and many non-rich people sacrifice for sports children. Although, admittedly, hockey is an expensive sport to take up seriously. And the Retail Slave said, I think Paige's entire outlook about college is very indicative of someone who's privileged. She has to be middle class. Remember how she said she doesn't want to come back to her reunion and find out friends are losers? Someone said they briefly touched on this class thing in next class. When Frankie wondered why Shay didn't want to do the prank, she explained to her that she was rich and her dad could pay for her to go to any college she wants. Meanwhile, Shay needed a scholarship and couldn't afford to mess up her opportunity. Yeah, so basically, someone even said that rewatching Paige's college storyline as an adult really Palex for me. Paige was judgmental to Alex, who was trying to make the best of the cards she was dealt. And to be honest, Paige was a terrible student. I think the writers were trying to pull off the whole little fish in a big pond vibe. I know what it's like to be a college student with anxiety and fear of failure, but Paige blamed everyone else for her own failures and continued to look down on Alex the whole time. Even after dropping out of school and taking her assistant job, Paige looked down on Alex, who was on the verge of being homeless, and turned the only outlet she had. And Paige was basically trying to be in the right the whole time. So yeah, season 5 and 6, it was like all these things. you know. Yep, they basically said a lot of things like, you know, Palex wasn't as good as it was. Well, I kind of, it's okay. It was a decent relationship, like Paige and Alex, and I'm like, well, what? That seems so random. Like, Paige, why would have Paige have feelings for Alex? If she has feelings for another girl, fair enough. But Alex, why? It just doesn't make any rinky dinky sense, don't you think? So when you look at things, it's got to be that Palex was cute and all that, and it was groundbreaking in a sense to be on a teen show about two girls kissing and all that. But I mean, Paige basically didn't understand Alex's problems and all that. It seemed to be that Paige just wanted to be in a relationship with somebody, and Alex was the person. She couldn't trust guys for a while. I mean, given the crappiness Paige suffered in season 4, I kind of don't blame her. But the fact of the matter, guys, is that for some reason, Alex seemed to maybe do it herself. I mean, Alex has had to deal with a mother who's basically being abused by her to have abusive boyfriends. And we find that out in season 4 on Mercy Street when Alex tries to tell Emma that basically I know more about domestic violence than you do. And Alex is right, but Alex basically used that domestic violence thing as an excuse to beat up Rick because obviously she wanted to go after her mom's abusive boyfriends, and basically she couldn't catch them, so she basically decided to use the one power, and that goes after Rick. And imagine Rick as everyone who's wronged her mother. I mean, I can get where Alex's anger comes from, but the fact of the matter is that Alex sometimes was her own worst enemy, especially season 5, I think, more so than 6. I know season 6 she came back to try to get better grades to go to a better college and all that, and she fails in the long run. But the fact is that Alex sometimes, I think she self punished herself because of the Rick Murray situation, and she knew she was lucky that Jay and Spitter kept a secret. Spitter, I don't think, was going to destroy Alex, because why would he destroy Alex? He had no reason to. Jay had a reason to, because Alex probably left him after the gonorrhea thing. Basically, Jay might have wanted to get Alex back for the gonorrhea thing. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, Paige seems so snobby and all that. I mean, she's a good character, but sometimes I just didn't like her snobbiness. And basically, having Hazel and Terry sometimes as her lapdogs, if you will. That was bad. I mean, she treated Hazel and Terry poorly, and basically, Hazel and Terry were forced to choose between her and Ashley in season 2, and they both chose Paige. I think they were scared that they would never recover if they weren't in Paige's clique. It was pathetic what Paige did to these people. I mean, okay, Rick getting mad at Paige. I can understand that because Rick's problem with Paige is that he thinks that Paige is spreading anti-Rick rhetoric, like lies, and also the fact that in season 3, he's mad that Terry is being poisoned. He blames Paige, saying that Paige is poisoning Terry's mind with lies and all that, and basically that's why, and threatening to cut off Terry, and that's why Terry clings to Paige and all that. Like, I did a unpopular opinion video about Rick and why he was it unpopular opinion or was it a normal video? Well, whatever. But anyway, Rick being kind of a jerk is because of Paige. Paige sent him off. But the fact of the matter is that, Paige seemed to always get her own way. Heck, season 4. I basically think that Paige convinced many in the school to turn away from Emma and her domestic violence cause because Emma had feelings towards Rick. I don't think romantic feelings, but basically sympathy thoughts. Because, Emma stood up for Rick after Alex wanted to beat the shit out of him. So basically, I feel that, she convinced the school to stay away from Emma. Emma only had her friend group of the Wacky Brain team with Jimmy, Heather, Toby, and Rick, of course, leaving her in a bad situation. Although I think that she probably figured that if she had a boyfriend or had not pissed off Liberty or Manny earlier in season 4, that she might have been fine. That all that. But Sean saved Emma's life, and Emma was happy about it. I think Emma wanted to be with Sean because, Sean was willing to save her life. And basically, maybe the school was convinced that Emma was terrible. And how many people would have cared if Emma had been shot? Probably like 50-50, if you will. But yeah, Paige basically was kind of stuck up in her own ways. And poor Alex. I mean, Alex does deserve some punishment in a sense because of her role in the Rick Murray situation. But basically, Alex got crappy cards even before the Rick Murray situation. It's like, well, Alex is a terrible person. I don't think she is completely a terrible person. I don't think she's the biggest Degrassi villain of all time. That's obviously Jay. Jay's a way more of a villain. Spinner, maybe more of a villain because of the Rick Murray situation, but yeah. Like Alex, I have her fourth as the biggest villain in the Rick Murray situation. Rick is number 1, obviously, then Jay, then Spinner. I put her in number 4. It's close between her and Radish, who's number 4. But the fact of the matter is that, Paige looked down on Alex. The class system, and the class system sometimes is a big problem in Degrassi, that like people from high classes look down on the lower class. I mean, Claire, I think, looked down on a few people, or had people look down on her. I don't remember. I think Zoe uh, stumped her nose at Maya, even though that Maya was in a decent position like her. Well, because Zoe was rich and all that. She was a reality actress. Yeah, the Frankie and Shay thing. Basically, Frankie basically was flaunting her class and all that. Basically, being a Hollingsworth basically means you're a bigoted jerk and all that. I mean, Mr. Hollingsworth has raised 3 kids to be nincompoops. Miles is kind of a nincompoop in a sense. But I mean, to have Frankie, who's very entitled, rich, snobbish, and does not even care or does not even know about being racist and all that, and Hunter basically being a guy who creates violent video games, who basically, is kind of got an anti-feminist view. Basically, he's, what is that verb? He's prejudiced towards girls and all that. And basically, he hates on Yale after Yale becomes non-binary. But I think his friends basically were laughing at him, saying that basically if Yale turns out to be non-binary, what's Hunter? Yeah, but, the Hollingsworths suck. They're terrible people. The whole family's terrible. Miles' baby isn't that terrible, but you never know. So anyway, yeah, the class system was huge in Degrassi and all that. Not as bad as the racism issue, but of course I'm not touching that in this video. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.